Hello there, it's Linda, known as Linda Book Lady on BookTube, and I'm here to talk to you about my April wrap-up, books I read during the month of April. I read a lot of books during April. I didn't make very many videos. However, all that time was used well because I was reading a lot. I read 6 books for adults and 9 books that were originally written for children but ended up in my hands instead, and I love children's literature. I have written a lot of children's literature, so I read a lot of children's literature as well. But 6 of the books that I read were written for adults, and they are all digital. They were either Kindle or Audible copies, so just going through them very quickly. I started the month with Go Tell It on the Mountain. I had to finish that up. It was Buddy Read with Alan and Barb. We had a lot of fun talking while we were reading that amazing book by James Baldwin. Quite an amazing author. I hope you have had a chance to read something by James Baldwin because he does have a way with words. The next book that I read was Out to Canaan by Jan Karon, or Karon. I'm not sure which is the correct pronunciation, and I haven't done my research, but I should. Anyhow, it's a Mitford book. That was like the, what was it, the 4th book in the Mitford series, and still going strong. I'm planning to read the 5th book during May. So then I went and I got a copy, an audiobook copy, fortunately, of The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared by Jonasson. A Swedish book. I had been wanting to read this for several years. However, I was very disappointed. It was not a book that I could really enjoy. The only reason I got through that long book was because it was an audiobook and because I wanted to read it for a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt to read a book about somebody who goes to different countries, which he did during his earlier life. I don't recommend that book. A lot of people like it. Maybe you would. I don't know. But for me, I did not find the main character likable at all. Sad, sad, sad. So, picked up from there, I read Persuasion by Jane Austen. I mean, a good love story. Absolutely a beautiful book. And I don't know if everybody likes it, but, well, come to think of it, I did see one negative review by a male booktuber for Persuasion. He did not like Persuasion, but I liked it. So go figure. So it was also the month of Beverly Cleary's birthday, and Angie of Literary Labors had a Beverly Cleary read-along kind of thing going at the beginning of the month. So the group read book was A Girl from Yamhill. It was her first memoir, and it was her childhood in Yamhill and her teenage years and later childhood. They happened in Portland, Oregon. So it was not her teenage years in Yamhill as I had expected in my last video. Anyhow, I really liked reading about her childhood in Yamhill and in Portland, Oregon. And so I immediately went out and got her second memoir, My Own 2 Feet, which started when she left her parents' house at the age of 18 to go to college in Ontario, California, and she went to Chaffey College for a couple of years, which was memorable for me because I've been to Chaffey College, not the same one that she went to in the 30s, but a newer campus of Chaffey College because my uncle taught there. as a German professor for many years, and I went to Ontario many times, so it was kind of fun to hear her impressions of what it was like to be in Ontario in the 1930s. And the story went on that she went to Cal Berkeley, which was sort of like my neighborhood when I was a teenager. My father went to Cal Berkeley, and so I knew a lot of the places that she was talking about here in California, and that was a lot of fun. It was a great read. In fact, later on in her adult life, she went back there and was living in Oakland for a while, and that's where I was born. So those are places that are really familiar to me. I recommend those two memoirs, especially if you're a writer. I mean, if you're a writer, you might be interested in anything that Beverly Cleary writes about her life and what led to her being able to write the wonderful children's books that she did. And so, also during the month of April, I read 4 of her children's books. I am reading the Ramona series, and I got the box set. And I read the first 4 books. They are Beezus and Ramona is the first one. Ramona the Pest. I think this is the one where she goes to kindergarten. Ramona the Brave. She's in 1st grade. Then Ramona and her father. She's in 2nd grade. And you might notice this one has a little medallion sort of thing on it. And that's because it's a Newbery Honor book. So if you've been paying any attention to my recent videos, you know that I'm trying to read all the Newbery Honor books and medal winners. And so I just feel like if they're in a series, I want to read them all. And I'm very much enjoying the Ramona books. They are much better than I ever expected they would be. So I read some other juvenile literature. First, a picture book. This is the picture book I got this month. It is We Are Water Protectors, and it's about the Native Americans and how they want to protect the water, which is true around here. I live in a town that is about half Native American, and they've gone to a lot of trouble and lawsuits to protect the river that flows through our town, and sort of ties in with this book, which is, it's the Caldecott Medal winner for 2021, and that's for the illustrations, and the illustrations in this book are just amazing, I love the illustrations, so beautiful. Show you one more. There she is, protecting the water. Yes, I thought that was a beautiful book. And I buy children's picture books because I love the art. I learned this when I was in college, I guess, when I was a young adult. I took a children's literature class, and my teacher was just so enthusiastic about picture books. She was so in love with children's literature, and I kind of picked that up from her. So I've been reading George Washington's World for the last couple of months, at about 4 pages a day, more or less, mostly 4 or more, but really enjoyed this. It's a history about things that were going on during the lifetime of George Washington, and I just finished this book. Really liked it. There's another one that is Abraham Lincoln's World that I will be reading later on, because these are both Newbery Honor books, the books about George Washington and Lincoln, and this one was actually the first history book that this author ever wrote, Genevieve Foster. More about that in another video, maybe. And I read another Newbery Medal winner, and it was Up a Road Slowly by Irene Hunt. I think that was an audiobook. Very nice book about a young girl growing up, and it's a young adult book. It's about a teenager. And so Let's talk about Waterless Mountain. This book, if you want to know about Navajo culture and legends, this book, that will teach you a little bit about what it's like to be a Navajo, at least around 1930. I think that probably between 1930 and now their way of thinking may have changed somewhat. But it was very interesting. It was written by a white woman, and she was living in the Southwest, and she became friendly with the Hopis and Navajos, and so she wanted to write about the Navajo culture, and the only problem was that there was very little plot to this. It was about a young man growing up, and he wanted to be the medicine man for his people, and in some ways I liked the story, but it was slow as could be. It was very little plot to it, so the insertion of many legends and that kind of thing really did interfere with the action in the story. Still, if you want to know about the Navajos, this book is a source. And so I also read a couple of books, these two 2021 winners. Well, this is the medal winner, the 2021 Newbery Medal winner, and this is a 2021 Newbery Honor book. I read them both. I did not like this one. I liked it up until the last chapter, and then something happened to change things around a little, kind of perturbed me, and so I ended up not liking it because I thought that was terrible to save it for the last chapter. And then this one I liked a lot all the way through. Fighting Words. It was about, it was a very sad situation about two sisters who had been sexually abused. And so you can't say that you like that kind of thing, but I can say I liked the writing. It was very good, and it kept my interest. It was a page turner for me. I am glad I got a chance to read it, and I guess that's all that I finished. Those are the books I finished. There are also 11 books that I have read parts of. So let's start in on those. You've seen this one before, The World Rushed In. So my last video I told you I was on chapter 5, and now I'm in chapter 10. The first 9 chapters are about his trip from New York to California during the gold rush in 1849. And now the next 3 chapters are going to be about his time in California. I live in a trailer in an RV park, and there's just some loud noises going on outside right now. It's really kind of disturbing. I don't know if you can hear them. But continuing on, I'll investigate later. I joined the read-along for the Divine Comedy, and I am reading Inferno. And I like that translation. It's working out well for me. I'm still reading the 2 gardening books, Organic Gardening and Permaculture. So that's still happening. I'm making progress. And then there's this little pile of books. Okay, I've been reading The Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis. Christian classic from a long time ago, the Middle Ages. Anyhow, I like that a lot. I'm reading another Ramona book, Ramona and Her Mother. This is the 5th book in the series, and I expect to get through the entire series this month in May. I read just 1 chapter a day, and that seems to be enough. Like last month, in April, I got through 4 of them. Anyhow, this one I'm reading right now, and What Hearts? I had intended to read this one in April, and I've gotten about halfway through it. I've also been reading We Dream of Space, which is another 2021 Newbery Honor book, and I like it quite a lot. About halfway through it. And then I just picked this one up, Mistaken Identity, and maybe I should just save this one for my May TBR video, which is going to be separate. And so that's everything that I've been reading during the month of April. It's been a good reading month, and you may wonder why I read so many books all at one time. It really works out well for me. I keep track of everything in my prayerful planner. Just been having so much fun doing these pages, and I always write down what I'm reading. I read a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I don't get bored with anything. Sometimes I get so excited about a book, I read more than a little. That's it for my April wrap-up, and I hope to talk to you in another video very soon, because I have to tell you my May TBR, and there's some other things I can talk about. Well, I'll talk to you in another video. Bye.